surveyed Great Wall remains exceed 20,000 kilometers, yet they never formed one continuous barrier. The greater surprise lies beyond those gaps, what people built across punishing terrain. No wall could remove the terrain that made defense necessary. China rises from broad river plains through dry basins and high plateaus to glaciers, granite ridges, deep gorges, and exposed desert rock. Water cuts towers from limestone, ice grinds down mountain valleys, heat splits sandstone. Distance is only the first obstacle. Altitude, cold, steep slopes, and scarce water determine where people can move, build, trade, worship, and endure. More than 5,000 years of continuity rests on repeated physical answers to that pressure. Workers packed earth, fired brick, cut stairs into rock, fixed chains to cliff faces, and raised temples where level ground was almost absent. Farmers captured mountain water and carried it toward fields. Potters turned local clay into cargo that crossed rivers and seas. Towns pressed against narrow waterways because the same current could support commerce and threaten homes. Sacred peaks gained authority through the hardship required to reach them. The way I see it, the deepest source of amazement is not that these places appear unreal. It is that people turned ice, stone, water, and altitude into foundations for belief, trade, farming, and daily life without ever fully mastering those forces. Glaciers still shift, rivers still press against old streets, deserts still test every oasis, mountains still dictate the route. In this video, we examine how China's harshest landscapes shaped its most astonishing human works, and why the struggle to build with forces stronger than any civilization matters far beyond their visual power. Civilization spanning a high plateau, desert basins, and river plains was held together by the same terrain that kept pulling its regions apart. China descends eastward in three broad steps, from the Tibetan Plateau and high ranges to western uplands, then down to plains facing the Pacific. That three-tiered terrain gives water a direction. Major rivers run east, while mountains squeeze travel into valleys and narrow corridors. In the north, the Yellow River carried fertile lues into fields of millet and wheat. But the same loose soil helped floods breach embankments and force the river onto new courses. Farther south, warmth and heavier rain favored rice, dense settlement, and trade by water. Geography did not produce one China, it produced different working answers. The monsoon could nourish a harvest or leave whole districts exposed. Irrigation, flood control, grain storage, and relief, therefore, became tests of government power. Early states grew inside these river basins, and the Shang left the first substantial body of Chinese writing. The Qin pushed that logic much further in 221 BCE. Competing kingdoms were unified while measures, currency, administration, and writing conventions were standardized. Roads and canals extended that control. The Grand Canal carried tax grain and supplies from the Yangtze region to northern capitals. Across the west, Silk Road corridors opened the interior towards Central Asia. Examinations and bureaucracy supplied a common administrative language, but they never erased place. Mountains, migration, border exchange, and local ecology kept shaping distinct dialects, cuisines, buildings, and identities. Belief also adapted to pressure. Confucian ethics ordered family and duty. Taoism examined balance with natural forces. Buddhism built monasteries, pilgrimage routes, and art. China's continuity came through repeated repair. Plateau, desert, and river plain forced communities to survive differently. Shared institutions kept binding those answers into one civilization. The Great Wall was never one uninterrupted barrier, and it was never meant to close China. Across more than 20,000 surveyed kilometers and over 2 millennia, it shifted between ramparts, trenches, forts, passes, and beacon towers. Large gaps were part of the landscape, and many remains now lie eroded or buried. Its first advantage was information. Towers sent smoke by day and fire at night, while mounted messengers carried fuller reports along the line. The works watched movement, delayed incursions, and steered troops, merchants, livestock, and envoys toward controlled gates. The frontier was filtered, not sealed. At Shanhaiguan, Juyongguan, and Jiayuguan, fortifications guarded the coast, mountain approaches, and the Hexi corridor. Each pass concentrated traffic where officials and garrisons could control it. Materials changed with the ground. Northern builders rammed earth inside wooden frames. Ming crews raised brick and dressed stone around the approaches to Beijing. Farther west, workers layered reeds, gravel, and tamped soil where timber and masonry were scarce. Desert scarcity shaped the wall. What stands out is the supply chain behind every tower. Garrisons needed grain, fodder, water, equipment, and replacement troops in places where wind, snow, and summer heat punished every delivery. Construction pulled soldiers, conscripted farmers, artisans, prisoners, and local laborers onto remote ridges. The visible masonry rests on years of exhaustion, separation, and unequal burden. Yet the wall also stood beside markets and routes where confrontation alternated with trade and diplomacy. Control depended as much on gates and exchange as on height. Its surviving stairs are not proof that nature was mastered. They show a state repeatedly reshaping earth, stone, labor, and distance to hold a frontier it could never command. Every surviving section records a provisional answer. Each state rebuilt the frontier in the materials that mountains, desert, and distance allowed. Trade fixed Fenghuang inside a narrow river corridor, and the same water still weakens the town's foundations. In western Hunan, hills press Fenghuang against the Tuojiang River, packing walls, lanes, bridges, and timber houses into a strip with little room to widen. Much of the preserved core took shape under Qing rule, when Fenghuang linked the surrounding highlands with China's interior. It was an administrative post, a military foothold, and a trading gate. Defensive walls, gates, watchtowers, and official buildings marked the reach of government across difficult ground. Around them, Miao, Tujia, and Han residents exchanged goods, building methods, food, and customs. The riverside Daoqialu reveal the town's hardest adaptation. Timber supports push usable rooms over the bank, gaining floor space where steep slopes leave almost none. That gain demands constant work. Damp, insects, floods, and heavy use damage foundations, drainage, and wooden frames. Preservation here means maintenance, not display. Movement follows the river's limits. Stone stepping paths, small boats, covered crossings, and the multi-level Hong Bridge divide daily traffic between bank and water. Lanterns and commercial light now produce Fenghuang's famous night image. Morning exposes the labor beneath it, deliveries, washing, waste collection, school journeys, and repairs. Tourism pays for jobs and conservation, but it also converts homes into accommodation, replaces neighborhood shops, and pushes housing costs upward. Success can preserve buildings while reducing the number of residents who use them as homes. The unresolved bargain is whether visitor businesses can expand without displacing the deliveries, repairs, school journeys, and housing that keep the riverfront lived in. Beneath the lantern reflections, wooden houses and stone bridges remain a neighborhood only because daily work keeps the riverfront inhabited. One mountain chain stacks broadleaf forest, alpine meadow, bare rock, snowfields and glaciers, almost directly above inhabited valleys. North of Lijiang, Jade Dragon Snow Mountain runs for roughly 35 kilometers across 13 prominent peaks. Shanzidou rises to nearly 5,600 meters. Elevation rises brutally fast. Broadleaf trees give way to conifers, then alpine grass, exposed rock, snow, and small glaciers as altitude strips warmth from the slope. This vertical compression does more than build habitats. Meltwater and mountain runoff feed streams, wetlands, farms, and settlements across the Lijiang Basin. Fine glacial and limestone sediment tints the water downstream, giving reaches around the Baishui River and Blue Moon Valley their pale blue, sometimes milky color. For the Naxi people, however, this is not scenery detached from life. The mountain belongs to Dongba sacred geography and stories of origin, and is tied to ritual traditions and the protective deity Sanduo. Modern cableways impose an engineering route on the slope. They lift large crowds rapidly into high viewing areas, compressing an ascent that would normally allow more time for acclimatization. The machinery shortens distance, not altitude. Thin air, cold wind, and sudden clouds still restrict movement, while staff manage queues, medical incidents, and weather closures. The same access makes climatic change easier to see. Shrinking ice and reduced snow cover are visible from viewing areas built to celebrate the mountain. Glacier retreat changes the ridge's appearance, cold habitats, and seasonal runoff. It also raises concern over future water cycles for communities below. Jade Dragon now serves 4 connected roles: sacred Naxi ground, a vertical ecosystem, a regional water source, and a heavily visited indicator of climatic change. Forest, grassland, ice, and pale blue water remain linked by meltwater. As the glaciers retreat, pressure travels down the entire slope. Ordinary bowls made near Changsha crossed rivers and open sea, while the workshop chain that produced them remained fixed to a hillside. Tens of thousands of Changsha ceramics in the 9th century Belitung cargo, recovered near Indonesia, prove how far these practical goods move. These streets are modern reconstructions, not an intact Tang settlement. They lead into the genuine ceramic history preserved at nearby kiln sites. Between the 8th and 10th centuries, potters turned out jars, ewers, storage vessels, toys, and tableware for Chinese homes and overseas markets. Its achievement was organizational. Every modest vessel depended on trained hands completing different jobs in the right order. Workers selected clay, cleaned it, mixed it, then shaped each piece by hand or wheel. Others dried, painted, glazed, and stacked the wares for firing. Iron and copper pigments carried flowers, landscapes, calligraphy, short poems, and motifs shaped by overseas demand. Decoration answered customers far beyond China. Long dragon kilns ran along sloping ground. Wood had to be gathered, then burned while crews controlled temperatures across the chambers. Even then, heat varied from one chamber to another. Pieces cracked, warped, or emerged with weak glaze, and rejected heaps now reveal how the kilns worked. Success began another chain. Crews sorted and packed sound wares, then moved them down the Xiang River toward Dongting Lake, the Yangtze, and coastal ports. Painted Bowl carried the work of clay handlers, decorators, kiln crews, packers, boatmen, and merchants. A failure in heat, handling, or river transport could undo all that value. Museum collections, excavated walls, firing demonstrations, and reconstructed workshops reconnect the finished surface with fuel, labor, and commercial risk. The surprise at Tongguan is concrete. Everyday Changsha pottery crossed immense distances because a disciplined craft chain joined hillside kilns to river and sea. Pilgrims and builders pieced together a sacred route across granite that offers almost no level ground for a path or shrine. 5 principal summits rise above Huayan, and South Peak exceeds 2,100 meters. Mount Huashan forms the western member of China's 5 great mountains. Natural fractures, uplift and erosion divided the rock into steep walls, narrow ridges, and deep ravines. That structure dictated the route for centuries. Pilgrims and Taoist practitioners entered through Hoshan Gorge, climbing stone-cut steps and gripping iron chains beside near-vertical sections. The peaks do not form a broad plateau. North Peak serves as a gateway, while Central Peak links the higher ground around East, South, and West Peaks. Temples, shrines, and small hermitages occupy ledges where builders fitted foundations directly into rock. Sacred purpose did not reduce the construction problem. Every foundation still had to obey the granite. These sites carry more than 2,000 years of pilgrimage, Taoist cultivation, and imperial mountain worship. Their endurance rests on repeated labor. Cable cars now reach the north and west peaks, shortening the ascent for many. Exposed stairways still connect the ridges. The famous plank walk is only a short, optional section crossed with a safety harness. Huashan's larger test lies in steep steps, narrow space, and sustained effort. Conditions can turn quickly. Rain slicks the stone, ice hardens the steps, gusts press across open ridges, and summit crowds compress movement. Behind every secure passage is continuous work. Crews inspect chains, steps, barriers, and platforms because weather and heavy use keep testing the route. Huashan's engineering is powerful because it never pretends the mountain has been mastered. Each handhold accepts the slope and gives the body one controlled move. Climber advances one step and one handhold at a time. The sacred route survives by accepting the mountain's terms. For centuries, Running water has organized Lijiang's lanes, courtyards, and neighborhoods. At roughly 2,400 meters in Yunnan, water from Black Dragon Pool divides through Dayan's lanes, courtyards, wells, bridges, and water wheels before joining again downstream. This was never decoration. The channels supplied homes, workshops, gardens, and public spaces, turning gravity into the town's basic infrastructure. But gravity alone could not keep it working. Shared rules controlled access, cleanliness, scheduled releases, and the hard labor of clearing debris. Traditional three-pool wells made the code visible. Drinking water first, food washing next, laundry last, one source divided by discipline. Water shaped movement and obligation together. Lanes followed channels, while households depended on decisions made beyond their own courtyards. Timber and earth courtyard houses answered the mountain climate with flexible frames and enclosed yards. Repairs after blazes and the 1996 earthquake proved both the resilience and vulnerability of that construction. The open squares carried another current, trade, on routes tied to the Tea-Horse Road. Horses, tea, salt, cloth, and medicines moved through the town. Those exchanges brought Naxi, Tibetan, Bai, Han, and other influences into one working settlement. Naxi identity still rests in Dongba manuscripts, ritual knowledge, music, language, and domestic design. Recognition brought new pressure. UNESCO inscription in 1997 strengthened conservation, but homes increasingly became shops, restaurants, bars, and guest houses, as property values and visitor noise rose. Preservation fails if old roofs remain photogenic while clean water leaves daily use. Courtyards empty, and inherited knowledge loses its purpose. Channels, three-pool wells, courtyards, and layered cultures hold Lijiang together through shared work rather than a single monument. Five broad summits do not merely surround Mount Wutai's sacred center. They turn the entire mountain into a pilgrimage. North Terrace rises just above 3,000 meters, where strong winds, long winters, and a short growing season separate the high routes from the warmer valleys below. Wutai is one of China's 4 sacred Buddhist mountains, linked to Manjushri, the bodhisattva of wisdom. That association made altitude part of religious practice, not background. Pilgrims have come since the early centuries of Chinese Buddhism. The demanding journey does not end at one sanctuary. Its fullest form crosses all 5 terraces. Taihuai Valley gathers the densest group of monasteries around the Great White Pagoda. Beyond it, temples stand apart in forests, on slopes, and along exposed high routes. Distance is the binding force. Each climb links halls and courtyards into a network that can survive only through repeated movement, shelter, and maintenance. Over time, Han Chinese and Tibetan Buddhist traditions met here, supported by emperors, monasteries, and ordinary believers. The mountain became common ground without becoming uniform. The timber carries exceptional weight. Fogang Temple's East Hall preserves 9th century Tang construction on a rare scale, while nearby Nanshan Temple contains an even earlier surviving wooden hall. These buildings had to resist snow, wind, and long winters. Roofs, courtyards, and sheltered halls turn carpentry into protection. Yet endurance never meant permanence. Later structures record repeated cycles of damage, repair, and reconstruction, with each generation taking responsibility for old timber. Bells and chanting mark religious time, but practical labor keeps the mountain active. Study, providing lodging, maintaining old timber, caring for halls, and receiving pilgrims. Each winter, the sacred center must be made whole again. Routes crossed, travelers sheltered, and ancient timber kept standing across 5 wind-beaten summits. Mountain rises straight above a city, and the route upward begins almost at street level. Above Zhangjiajie, Tianmen reaches about 1,500 meters, served by a cableway roughly 7.5 kilometers long. The line first crosses farmland and settlements. Then it leaves ordinary ground behind, climbing over deep valleys toward a forested plateau. That transition delivers the shock: daily life below, exposed limestone ahead, and engineering stretched across the gap. The cable does not tame the mountain. It holds a route against it. On the road, the same contest takes another form. Tongshan Avenue gains height through 99 tight bends cut into the slope. Every turn answers the lack of level ground. Together, they convert a near-direct climb into controlled movement, but rain, wind, and traffic dictate the pace. At the upper plaza, machinery gives way to legs. 999 stone steps rise toward Tianmen Cave. The opening is about 130 meters high and passes completely through the limestone cliff. Water and weather worked along weak rock until part of the mountain gave way. The repeated nines invoke heaven and permanence, adding symbolism to a route already defined by physical effort. Above the cave, paths trace forest and exposed rock along the plateau edge. Glass floors reveal the drop, yet weather applies stronger pressure. Moist air can close the mountain in dense cloud within minutes, erasing the city and ridges. Rain slicks the steps, wind bears against narrow walkways. Heavy visitor flows add another load. Movement must be controlled where space narrows and conditions change without warning. From street level to a cave in the clouds, every stage narrows movement and leaves engineering exposed to altitude, weather, and crowds. Boats once unloaded at the foot of a town stacked above falling water. On a steep bank of the Yu River in western Hunan, timber houses and lower streets stand directly over a broad waterfall. Furong's astonishing position served trade, not spectacle. Formerly called Wangkun, it grew as a river landing and market for mountain communities blocked by terrain. Boats carried salt, cloth, tools, and household supplies inland. Agricultural and forest products moved downstream, turning the river from obstacle into trade route. The town had to rise from its docks rather than spread across a plain. Stone lanes climb toward homes, workshops, food stalls, and trading spaces. This steep arrangement made every delivery physical work. Goods moved from boat to stair, from stair to market, and from market into the mountains. Tujia builders answered the slope with traditional timber houses raised on stilts. The supports created level rooms over irregular ground and claimed usable space where almost none existed. They also reduced contact with damp soil. In a wet place shaped by runoff and shifting river conditions, timber frames could be repaired section by section. The waterfall sits beside a working structure, not a decorative backdrop. Water imposes moisture, drainage, noise, and constant maintenance on the streets above it. By day, the town's hidden labor becomes clear: kitchen work, deliveries, drainage channels, and structural repairs. These routines keep the settlement functioning. Furong carries Tujia inheritance through brocade, music, dance, food, and oral tradition. Traditions endured because the town kept exchange moving across hard country. The 1980s film Hibiscus Town brought Wangkun national attention. The later name Furong arrived with restored facades, restaurants, guest houses, lights, and dense evening crowds. Even under tourism's crowds, timber, stone, boats, and inherited skill still do the essential work of holding a town above falling water. Bai communities made a homeland on the narrow ground between a 42-kilometer lake and rising mountains. Along Erhai's western shore, the Kangshan Mountains rise abruptly. Short, fast streams squeeze villages, fields, roads, and canals between rock and fresh water. The constraint became an advantage. Mountain waters spread soil across alluvial fans, creating a fertile band where farming and settlement could lock together. For the Bai people, Erhai has never been scenery alone. It has carried fishing boats and goods, fed crops, supported markets, and anchored ceremony and family memory. White-washed courtyard houses make that long relationship visible. Gray tiles cover enclosed rooms, painted decoration marks the facade, and reflective screen walls catch daylight while sheltering domestic space. Suzhou remains closely tied to fields and historic architecture. Shuanglang faces the waterfront more directly, where guest houses and tea shops have expanded beside older livelihoods. That expansion exposed the lake's limit. Rapid construction strained sewage works, while fertilizer and field drainage carried nutrients that can encourage algal growth. Rain sharpens the pressure by driving more runoff toward the shore. Long dry periods reverse the problem, reducing the water available to households and farms. The response is physical: tighter wastewater controls, restored wetlands, building setbacks, and limits on some lakeside businesses. The same measures that defend water quality can narrow access to land and income. So every clean stretch of shore contains a bargain. Farmers, fishers, shopkeepers, and officials all depend on water that cannot absorb unlimited growth. Irrigation runs beside roads, vegetable plots border wetlands, and working boats share restored banks. Nothing has much room to retreat. Erhai leaves no spare margin. Protecting its freshwater must not push farmers, fishers, and households away from the shore that sustains them. Two small temples stand on separate crowns of one rock pillar, with a stone bridge crossing the split between them. Above them, Fanjingshan rises to nearly 2,600 meters, while thousands of steps climb toward a bridge only a few meters long. The Red Cloud's golden summit is not the mountain's highest point. Its force comes from compression. Two shrines, a deep cleft, steep stairs, and almost no spare ground. One temple is traditionally dedicated to the Buddha, the other to Maitreya. A short stone bridge turns the natural division into a route of pilgrimage. Every built element records hard labor. Tiles, timber, tools, food, and water had to move along paths pinched by cliffs and rapidly changing weather. The mountain keeps applying pressure after construction. Moist air condenses across upper slopes, soaking forest and stairs, laying down frost, then closing the summit inside cloud. That moisture also protects a far older structure. Sharp changes in elevation preserve distinct belts of subtropical and temperate forest above the surrounding karst country. Within them live the rare Fanjingshan fir and the Guizhou snub-nosed monkey, whose wild range is extremely restricted. This unique concentration helps secure World Heritage status. Geology made that refuge by isolating resistant rock while softer material wore away. Mushroom stone and the old golden summit exposed the same long contest at different scales. Access now demands another balance. Barriers and controlled routes steady movement on slippery stairs, while habitat rules prevent paths and crowds from spreading across fragile ground. Devotion and ecological pressure meet on the same narrow route. Pilgrims need passage, while rare species cannot surrender more territory. The bridge is only a few meters long. Keeping the route open without widening humanity's footprint is the mountain's longer task. Four snowbound summits rise through several climates in the space of one mountain. At more than 6,000 meters, Yaomei Peak stands above forest, pasture, exposed rock, permanent snow, and ice. The road west from Chengdu enters deep river gorges, then climbs toward Shaojing County. In a relatively short run, lowland movement becomes an altitude problem. The name means four girls, and local stories cast the aligned peaks as sisters. The youngest, Yaomei, is also the highest and the most demanding for climbers. Its upper slopes combine steep rock, snow, ice, and weather that can turn without warning. Even the lower summits demand acclimatization. Access is never the same as control. Three valleys answer that pressure in different ways. Shuangqiao carries a road into broad views of forest, meadow, and glaciated peaks. Shangping leads beneath Yaomei through woodland and open pasture, then feeds longer trekking and climbing routes. Here, distance is measured against thin air and unstable ground. Haizi is rougher. Alpine lakes and high meadows often require more walking, or the support of local horses and handlers. These routes reveal the labor hidden behind the mountain's clean outline. Drivers, guides, lodge workers, horse handlers, and rescue teams keep movement possible. Rain, snow, rockfall, and thin air can close that movement quickly. Roads and trails do not defeat the terrain, they negotiate brief permission from it. Nearby communities carry Tibetan and Qing influences through settlement, grazing, food, and religious practice. The mountain also lies within the Sichuan giant panda sanctuaries, joining human work to protected habitat. That vertical change reorganizes every route. Roads carry visitors into Shuangxiao, trekking takes over in Changping and Haizi, and the upper slopes demand technical climbing. Across one skyline, 4 summits rise above forest, grazing meadow and alpine lake, with each tier demanding a different form of endurance. Wind and rain are stripping open hills that appear painted from a distance. Across these tilted hills, red, yellow, gray, and pale green bands expose layers laid down over many millions of years. Shangy colorful Danxia lies near the Hexi corridor in Gansu, between the Kilian Mountains and northern deserts. This narrow passage once linked the Chinese heartland with Central Asia. Snowmelt from the Kilian Range sustained scattered oases, while dry air prevented dense vegetation from covering much of the rock. The same aridity that constrained settlement preserved the geological record in full view. The bands began as sand, silt, and clay, deposited under changing conditions. Layer by layer, different grain sizes and minerals built the raw structure now exposed at the surface. Iron-bearing minerals oxidized into red and ochre. Other mineral mixtures produced yellow, gray, and pale green, turning buried sediment into a visible record of change. But color alone did not make this terrain. Regional tectonic pressure folded and tilted beds that had once lain nearly horizontal. Erosion then cut into that lifted structure. Short, forceful rain opened gullies, wind carried away loose grains, and softer layers wore back faster than resistant ones. Light controls how much of this work can be seen. Low morning or evening sun drives shadows across the ridges, while rain briefly deepens the colors. Under flat midday light, the same hills can look muted. Yet the ridges are softer than they appear from a distance. Repeated footsteps can crush surface crusts, loosen sediment, and cut new channels for erosion. Movement is therefore concentrated on shuttle routes, raised walkways, and fixed platforms. The controls restrict access, but keep repeated foot traffic from accelerating the damage. Here geology is legible. Pressure tilted the bands, erosion exposed them, and shifting light makes raw mineral layers appear painted. An imperial sacred complex was built where cliffs and forest resisted every load. Its ritual route climbs from foothills to Tianzhu Peak, more than 1,600 meters above sea level. In the early 15th century, the Ming Emperor Yongle mobilized workers, materials, and supplies on an imperial scale. The task was not to build one isolated monument, but to make the entire mountain sacred ground. Builders spread palaces, temples, gates, bridges, and paths across steep ground. Each ascent demanded retaining walls, hauled timber, fitted stone, and a route that could endure weather. Yet they did not flatten the mountain into a ceremonial platform. Rooflines tracked ridges, courtyards opened toward forest and mist, and walls followed the contours. Purple Cloud Palace occupies a protected basin, while the south cliff structures hold exposed slopes. Above them, the gilded copper golden hall crowns the highest peak. The final climb is not merely access to the sanctuary. Effort, exposure, and weather become part of the religious act. This landscape is associated with Zhenwu, the Taoist deity linked to the north, water, martial power, and imperial protection. The architecture gives that belief physical weight. Wudang also became an enduring center of Taoist physical culture. Internal martial arts and Tai Chi train breath, balance, controlled movement, and the redirection of force. The claim that Zhang Sanfeng founded these arts remains legend, not documented history. What endured was disciplined practice inside a sacred working landscape. Fire, weather, political change, and heavy use have repeatedly tested these buildings. Conservation is therefore not cosmetic, it is the labor that keeps the sacred route intact. One principle joins palace, cliff, misted forest, and martial discipline. Read the pressure before moving against it, and work within the mountain's limits. Beneath the famous limestone towers, boats still serve a working river corridor. Its best-known reach runs roughly 83 kilometers from Guilin toward Yangshuo, threading farms, villages, ferry points, and working banks. The towers began as thick limestone beds laid down in an ancient sea. After uplift exposed them, slightly acidic rain and groundwater entered cracks and widened them. That action carved caves, sinkholes, underground channels, and isolated peaks. The Li River now follows the lower path through the broken ground. The rock frames the water and squeezes the channel, carrying boats past rice fields, orchards, bamboo, and riverside homes. That corridor never holds one shape. Summer rain can make the river faster, deeper, and opaque. Dry periods expose gravel bars and restrict boats to narrower channels. Every change reaches human work. Pilots adjust their lines. Dock crews handle traffic, and maintenance teams keep cruise vessels and bamboo-style rafts moving. Tourism now supports guides, vendors, boat workers, and riverside accommodation. Farming, fishing, ferries, and local transport preserve older ties to the river, though their weight differs from village to village. Cormorant fishing shows how work can become spectacle. Birds were trained to retrieve fish, historically with restraints that kept them from swallowing larger catches. Many displays now serve mainly visitors. Erosion also became public memory. Nine-Horse Fresco Hill carries a name drawn from patterns in rock, while the bend near Xingping appears on the 20 yuan banknote. Fame brings pressure, boat traffic, sewage, shoreline construction, and concentrated crowds strain water quality and the life of riverside settlements. Water threads between limestone towers and past fields, rafts, and villages. Stone blocks movement here. The river converts that barrier into connection. A mountain range appears to burn beside fields sustained by water hidden beneath the desert. The range stretches about 100 kilometers east of Turpan. Summer air can rise above 40 degrees, while exposed ground can pass 70. The effect comes from exposed sandstone, carved into parallel gullies. Deep shadow grips each cut, while hard sunlight strikes the ridges and makes the rock seem to ripple. Almost no vegetation softens this terrain. Low elevation, clear skies, dry air, and surrounding mountains combine to drive Turpan's extreme summer heat. Yet the decisive resource does not fall here as rain. Snowmelt descends from the Tianshan Mountains, then enters gently sloping underground channels known as carets. Buried channels limit evaporation before the water reaches fields and settlements. Gravity carries the flow. Generations of labor keep the passage open. Lines of vertical shafts reveal the scale of that work. They provided access for digging, ventilation, and maintenance across ground that gives away almost nothing. This buried engineering fed people and livestock, then grain, fruit, and Turpan's vineyards. Ventilated brick structures turned fierce, dry air into an advantage by helping grapes dry. Water also fixed the route of long-distance trade. Caravans crossed this corridor from one dependable oasis to the next, rather than gamble against the driest ground. That chain connected Gaochang, the Bezeklik Caves, and the wider Silk Road. Desert pressure did not end movement. It forced movement into a narrow, engineered line. Journey to the west transformed the heat into legend. The Monkey King seeks Princess Ironfan's magical fan to put out the flames. The fantasy works because the physical pressure is real. Beside the red gullies, every vineyard and settlement depends on snowmelt captured underground and on the labor that keeps the channels open. An icefall drops more than 1,000 meters toward temperate forest and mineral hot springs within a single valley. The glacier descends from the eastern side of Mount Ganga, a peak over 7,500 meters high, and its main body has historically measured around 14 kilometers. Haluagu is a temperate monsoon glacier, shaped by opposing forces. Heavy snowfall feeds the upper ice, while warmer, wetter conditions below bring parts of it close to melting. Liquid water moves within and beneath the glacier. It helps the ice to form and shift, but it also increases instability. Lower down, the glacier carries rock and builds moraines. Debris partly covers the ice, hiding voids beneath ground that can look solid. Its lower reach approaches a temperate forest of old conifers, moss, and dense undergrowth. The meeting line changes as the ice withdraws. Fresh soil and moraine mark earlier positions of the glacier. Researchers can watch lichens, grasses, shrubs, and trees return to ground once held by ice. Hot springs deepen the contradiction. Groundwater circulates through deep fractures, warms below the surface, and rises again with minerals. The heat does not weaken the glacier's story. It proves that one narrow valley can expose forces working at radically different depths and temperatures. Access can never be fixed for long. Roads, trails, viewing areas, and cable access must be adjusted as landslides, earthquakes, weather, and moving ice alter safe ground. Continued retreat changes the distance between forest and ice, affects seasonal runoff, and reorganizes cold-adapted habitat. A shrinking glacier alters the whole valley. As the ice withdraws, forest, runoff, habitat, and every safe route are rearranged with it. In this valley, instability is the lasting condition. Snowmelt sustains a deep alpine lake above dry plains where evaporation is relentless. Heavenly Lake, or Tianqi, sits about 1,900 meters up in Xinjiang, while dry plains and foothills spread below. Ancient ice carved this crescent-shaped basin more than 3 kilometers long and about 100 meters deep. Debris left by the ice helped hold the water in place. The ascent compresses a climate shift into one route. Dry ground yields to river valleys, Tianshan spruce, alpine meadow, and snow-covered Bogda peaks. That contrast is not decorative. Mountain rain and snowmelt keep Tianqi filled despite evaporation below, making highland water the limit for pasture, farms, and settlement. Across the highlands, Kazakh pastoral life adapted through movement. Families shifted livestock and mobile yurts between seasonal grazing grounds. Winter locks part of the lake beneath ice. Summer opens the grasslands, draws herds upward, and brings the main tourism season. That new migration arrives by bus and continues along boats, boardwalks, and restaurants. Waste collection and shoreline control are now essential infrastructure. Tianqi is small, so pressure gathers fast. Heavy foot traffic can strip vegetation, loosen soil, raise noise, and weaken water quality before the setting shows the damage. Its place within the UNESCO-listed Xinjiang Tianshan landscape demands stricter care. Management must protect a working alpine water source, not merely preserve a pleasing view. Stories linked this boundary of dryland and mountain to the Queen Mother of the West. The legend carries weight because water here has always held authority beyond the shoreline. Around the crescent, spruce, meadow pasture, tourism, and dryland settlement all depend on snow arriving above them. Tianqi looks legendary because every layer of its beauty records a harder fact. Across this dry region, civilization follows water but never commands it. Used to think China's scale was mainly a matter of distance. The stronger measure is resistance. Altitude thins the air. Heat strips moisture from the ground. Ice bears down on forests and valleys. Rivers force settlements into narrow corridors. Rock leaves builders almost no room. The plain takeaway is that China's most extraordinary places matter not because people conquered hostile terrain, but because they learned to build around natural forces that remain stronger than them. A temple grips a ridge, a town guides water through its lanes, an oasis depends on flow hidden beneath dry ground. Each answer remains vulnerable because the land still holds the greater power. That is the warning for the modern age. Rapid construction and climate pressure can erase knowledge refined across generations. China's strength will not be measured only by what it can build, but by whether progress can protect the landscapes and living traditions that made such endurance possible. Continue exploring places where severe terrain tests human design, and where true engineering power lies not in erasing nature, but in building firmly enough to endure beside it.